Welcome to the Root of It All podcast with Tree, your human behavior expert. Did you ever wonder why you have the behaviors that you have or how to change them? Did you ever wonder about different people in different industries and what made them good at what they do? Well, this is the podcast for you. You're learning all about human behavior from the experts. So cozy up, go for a walk, or go for that drive that you've always wanted to, and get ready to learn. Learn about you, learn about others, because us as humans, we are the funniest creatures on this planet. So let's learn together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Root of It All podcast with Tree. And today I have a very, very special guest. And from the moment that I saw her, I was like, I need to have her on my podcast. I can't wait for you to meet her. So this is Brenda Andress, and I love one of her main quotes is building dreams, building leaders. She is the creator of SheIS, which we're going to talk about, and you guys are going to love this. And she is Women in Sports Advocate, which is huge, which is absolutely huge. And I can't wait for everybody to meet you. So thank you so much for being here, Brenda.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Always happy to share stories.
And you have tons of amazing stories, which I'm excited to do a deep dive into. So teach us how you kind of got into this, like got the passion behind it of what it is that you wanted to do. Like I know you were always into sports, but what was maybe that like pivotal moment when you were like, hey, this needs more coverage?
I think that was always in the back of my head from the time, because it wasn't just coverage, it was the fact that we needed more space to play, more opportunities to join teams. And I think that was always in the back of my mind because I was always looking for a place to play. And so growing up, it was like, why can't I do that sport? Oh, yeah, right. There's no team, or there's no league, or there's no coverage, or there's no money. So it was always kind of that same problem going over and over in your head. It was, like, here's where we're at, and here's where I would really like to be at. So I think it kind of grew within me at all the times as I continued my careers, and I kept, ensuring and looking at how I could make a difference or how I could do changes that would benefit all women in sports. And when I say sports, it was kind of like, sports in many different avenues. Sports as, because we know the statistics show that women in sports are the ones that end up in the CEO positions, right, as leaders. And we know that, sports brings long-time friendships. It brings a whole health aspect to your life. So I thought that was important to, share those stories and try to get more people to understand the benefits of sport.
And that's awesome. What I love, like coming from a human behavior perspective, from what I just heard you say, is that the fact that like the passion came from you being in it and then seeing what needed to happen, not just for you, but for everybody as well. Because if you didn't do or advocate for the things that you did and advocated for, you also wouldn't have been able to play the games, the sports and all those things to the extent of that you did play it. Is that correct? Like,
Totally correct. Totally correct.
yeah.
So many women, before me, and so many women that will come after me. We all have to continue to pave the way to make sure that the dreams of our grassroots programs of all young girls, of whatever sport they want to play, they have the opportunity to do it.
And I love a lot of the things that you mentioned when it comes to community and that they become CEOs. I think that correlation, the bridge there is the accountability. Like if you're playing a sport, specifically, let's use hockey, right? You need to make sure your gear's clean, ready to go. You got to show up on time, right? On time to prep to get ready before you get onto the ice, right? You can't just show up. So there's a lot of little nuances that really instill within somebody the patterns of behavior to be that CEO person, which I think is great. And community itself is awesome, like the lifelong friends and stuff like that. Like it's so important more now than ever. And so where did SheIS come into play?
Oh, so I mean, I was the commissioner of the Canadian Women's Hockey League for 12 years and absolutely loved what I did with the friendships I made and the differences we made and, the building of the fans and the players given the opportunity to play when they had no place else to play. So there was so many great things going on. And, then, I was sitting at a time where like come almost always in my life, there's these points in time that comes that says, okay, well, what are you going to do next? What path are you going to take? Well, where do you want to go?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that was happening, it was that there was a pivotal point in time around 2017, that was kind of like, okay, our world's changing. Women were going out because lots of things were going on across the border, and things were going on here also in our own parades and different things. And everybody was phoning me to say, hey, everybody's marching on this day and everybody's going to make a big voice. And I said to them, it's going to be a great day because there's going to be such wonderful women stand up and speak and tell us to be supportive and tell us, drive our passion like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're all going to go home and you're going to check the box that you went out that day, and the majority of people, and then that's the end of it. I said, and what happened is we created this march because of negativity, because something was going on that we didn't like, which is a good thing. But I wanted to create something that was coming from positivity. I wanted to create something that was like, I want to make a difference. And what I heard is that, when I was the commissioner, if you put, Lisa Borders at the time was the commissioner going in for the WNBA, and, there was all these other women that was, in place that was saying, you could take my name and put her name in there, or you could take her name and put it in mine. We were all saying the same thing about women's sports, that it was difficult. We needed people to come on board. We needed the fans. We needed the marketing. So I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to create what I call SheIS. I put together the SheIS Inc. That basically was bringing all the commissioners in North America together to try to work together collectively. So it was called the collective. And we wanted to see how we could come out of our silos to help each other, but then cross-pollinate each other's sports to help each other grow. And it was absolutely phenomenal. We had the massive backing of a good friend of mine, Stephanie, and then Lisa from the WNBA. We held it at the WNBA office as our first kind of press release, and we made this wonderful thing of a commitment to try to build this collective and do white papers of talking to each other, and then cross-pollinating the sports that was massive for us. And SheIS really came from a point of view for me, SheIS, the name came from she is whatever she wants to be. So she is a mother, she is a doctor, she is a hockey player, she is a feminist, she is strong, she's weak, she is passionate, and, she's emotional. And all those things would be okay, because the next day she could say, she is, no longer this, I'm going to be this, because here's what she is. And it represented something to me that was like, we could be whatever we chose to be after the SheIS. And I think that was important to me because, I don't think we can be one thing all the time. I think we can be many things. And I think we change every day to be that, right? One day I don't want to get out of bed either, and then the next day it's like, look out, I'm going to conquer the world. It has to be, changed immediately. And that's okay, because, she is right now empowered, and she is right now thinking. So I started the company in that way there. And basically what we wanted to do is create something that was for women, of women, to empower women. And so we started that, and it was phenomenal. We did Women Worth Watching, which was a massive campaign of bringing all the athletes, the top athletes in every sport, together to do a video. And we had that open up in the US Open that just finished. And that was, again, thanks to the commissioner at the time. And it was phenomenal in the fact that, bringing everybody together. It had 280 million views. It had a reach. It was absolutely stunning. We did STEM programs to show that you could be a sports person and be technical and engineer.
Nice.
You could, be many different things. And then COVID hit. And so when COVID hit, obviously all the sports shut down, and that gave me a time to reflect one more time on what's my next step. So my next step was the SheIS Sports Network, which was because the number one problem still people said to me was,
Mhm.
Brenda, I don't know where to watch. I don't know the latest news. And if I do find the news, we're 1 in 10. If you're lucky, we're in the top 10 stories
Yeah.
across the other sports. And that's nothing to do with negativity towards the other apps. It has to do with the fact that they are catering to their audience. And I wanted to cater to the female audience, and I wanted to give an opportunity in my next step of my journey was to give a voice to all women and for all women to see themselves within the sports app. So it's very much the same as a regular sports app, top stories, where to watch, what's the data. The difference is that, the content creators are yes, the top stories from the top 6 sports, but it's also the grassroots stories that the grassroots people create themselves. So it gives an
Mhm.
opportunity for the stories to be told by the individual.
And what a great thing to create during COVID, because at that time, I mean, nobody, um, we weren't communicating and connecting with each other the way that we were used to, and so people were looking for other ways how they can still stay connected. So that's a great thing. And so, is the app up already?
No, so the app is
Okay.
still in the process of being worked on because we're out there looking for investment dollars to get it off the ground. And, 2% of investment dollars goes to women
Mhm.
completely. And then after that, women in sports is, and then women in founders is something else on top of that. So it's very difficult to um, get funding. And, in today's world, I think a lot of investors too are saying, we have no idea what's going to happen out there. So they're not as open pocketed as they used to be.
And do you have a link where people can donate? Because we're going to have a link to how everyone can connect with you, or do they just email you
They
directly,
just
or
email me. Yeah, it'd be great if they just email me, because
okay. So
again,
we'll
we're
have all
looking.
the information.
Right. And
Mhm.
and again, they can email us because we are having a sports gala in on November the 24th in Burlington that is going to try to support our She Is not-for-profit, um, bringing athletes together to hear their stories at that conference at the gala. And so we're looking for opportunities for sponsors. We're looking for people to buy tables, and it's the way to say, I really believe in women's sports. I really believe in women empowerment, and I'm really going to write the check.
Yep.
Right? Because people don't, it's very easy to say you believe in something, Tree, but it's a lot harder to actually say, not only do I believe in it, I'm actually going to write the check.
Well, and it's great that you're being an advocate for this, because I think a lot of people don't actually know, and that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because it's important not just for like the awareness, but for the human. Like all of these women, the fact that they're moving their body, they're exercising, they're moving their body in a way that they enjoy, that brings them joy, that creates their community. So it's such a positive on so many different levels, that because, and then you and I had this conversation before, we're both similar when it comes to like, we're busybodies. We always need to be doing something, right? And it's not just us, there's lots of people out there. And so to have like a road where people can walk down and feel safe in a community where they're surrounded by like-minded women, that they can join these sports, whether they have enough money or not, that there's the support in all kinds of different directions. And so it's so great what it is that you're doing and the passion behind it. And I want to add too how humble you are about it. Like you're just like it's just it's very it's a safe space, right? And that's, I think, your temperament for that is the foundation of all of what you do as well, and it really does embody that. And so, what would you say to encourage um, young adults, young women, to when they're getting into sports, or if they're struggling in any kind of way, like what kind of tips would you have for them to either persevere or to um, reach out, or because I know there's a lot of people that a lot of people are calling it social anxiety, but like it's more of like they're in fear of judgment. That's what I would call it more. Like what kind of tips would you have for that?
That's a great question. Um, One of the things, thank you, by the way, for those kind words before. I really appreciate that. That was very, very generous of you. And second of all, one of the things about our aggregator of information app is that it's unique in the fact that it's a socially safe platform with it. So most apps aren't, but our app is, so that we want to create a community of conversation. So these types of things that you're talking about, young girls or young women or older women can get on and have conversations and share things. Hey, I'm going through this. Has anybody done this? Hey, I feel like this. Has anybody felt this? We'll have podcasts on there. We'll have reports on how to best recover from an injury from a woman's body as compared to a man's body, because it's different, right? In so many different ways.
I never thought about that.
Nutrition, what
Yeah.
kind of training? We all train differently. How you coach a woman as compared to coaching a man. They're all different. We're not built the same. We don't think the same. We don't do anything the same. And people will say, "Oh, Brenna, stop trying to make us different." And I'm going, I want to celebrate our differences. I'm okay being different because our body is different. And anybody who is in sports knows that we're different in that way. It doesn't say that we're not as qualified or as skilled. It just means our body is different. And that's okay to be knowing that. I think the number one tip I would give all women out there, no matter what age, if they're in a sport, is to do what you want to do based on what you want to do and not what somebody else wants you to do. And a lot of times, we end up doing things because somebody else wants us to. Somebody else, is saying, "Oh, you're great at this," or "You're not good at this," or "You should be this," or "You shouldn't be that." And I think it's really, really hard to take all the noise out that's around you and to say, what do I want? What is it that I, that's passionate within me? And I was having a conversation with my grandson the other day, and he was saying, "Grams, I don't know what I want to do, blah, 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 and everything else." And I said the same thing to my son when he was growing up. I said, take away all the things, make your list and take away all the things you don't want to do. And that's a good list to start with, because sometimes we're really hard at saying, "Oh, what do I want to do?" But we know what we don't want to do in life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
take away all the things that you don't want to do, what's left. And that's the same thing from sport. Like if you sit down and say, "Okay, I want to train to do this, but what are the things I don't like? And what are the things I don't want to do in that sport?" See what's left. And then you can narrow it down as you try different things, because, passion is a big part of the game, huge part of the game.
Yeah.
And self-doubt is in the grassroots athlete and it's in the pro athlete. There isn't anybody out there that would stand up. And if they did, I would certainly question them on it. There's at no time that we ourselves don't doubt, even how highly skilled some athletes are, is, should I be doing this? Am I doing the right thing? Am I taking good care of myself? Am I pushing myself too hard? Should I do what that guy just asked me, my coach, to do? Like, those are questions that are in our mind all the time. And I would say to every single person out there, listen to that voice.
I love that. And you're so right. We all have our own insecurities, and our common tendency is getting caught up in the what ifs. And I think in sports, it could possibly be even more so because there's so many people watching, right? And there's more people, players, they can tend to feel like they're letting people down if they missed a shot or they didn't do something that was in line with how the team or the community does things. So it's an interesting thing when it comes to sports that there's a huge safety upon it, right? Because it's like you feel comfortable, safe within the community. There's structure, there's rules. But if somebody wants to go against that and go in their own way, even though the community will be embracing them and encourage them whichever direction they want to go, but still from a nervous system perspective, they'll feel like that they're letting people down. And it's just a human thing, because it's almost like us as humans, we do not like change at all. So if we're changing something from a nervous system perspective, it's like I'm doing something wrong, which we're not. And in society right now, like there's so many options. There's even so many more sports, dare I say, like even I'm in Burlington here, and I see people in this backfield where I live playing cricket. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm like standing there watching. I'm like, this is cool. Or even when pickleball started to become a thing, and now it's huge. So there's so many, like everything will change regardless. And I love this platform that you're creating for the communication to stay, for that, again, that safe community for women to, hey, I'm dealing with this. And our bodies are absolutely different, right? Like we can create another human within our body. And
Yeah.
and right, like to put simply, pretty miraculous. But there's so many elements to that when it comes to hormones, when it comes to our periods, when it comes to even just little weird, funky things going on with our body. So it's nice to have a safe community that you can trust to get information, and just even like somebody to listen to what that person has to say, I think is really good. So so what's next for you? So you have this app, like what is there something else you have brewing in the back burner for?
Yeah, no, right now I'm full force of trying to raise the funds for this app, which I think, one day somebody will look back and go, "Oh my God, I should have invested in that app," because it's going to be, I mean,
Yeah.
we are the first. There's no app for women's sports right now as an aggregator of information. Um, it's a social platform paired with it, so it's unique. I think it would be massive because we want to be global and we see it as
Mhm.
being, globally, and then, cutting down into being the different countries, cutting down to being the different areas in the country, and an opportunity for the community that's already there. I mean, we're not building a community from scratch. The women's community is strong.
Yeah.
And so it's just gathering them and saying, okay, here's what we have for you. Okay, we want you to be involved. And I think so that, the next thing for me is to stay focused in knowing that this project that we have online will be successful. And then again, people that don't want to invest can certainly help us at the SheIS Sports Gala, which is, helping us sponsor tables, helping us, bring together awareness of what we're doing and how we're trying to make a difference, not only in the sports world, but in the social platform world of bringing two people, two kind of different things together. But yet at the same time, it's just huge. It's huge in the fact that people say, well, media, nobody wants to be involved right now. I said, I get it, because, nobody knows what to believe in media, but we're creating something different. We're creating
Mhm.
scores, where to watch, stats, but we're also creating this social platform that's safe. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody will have a different opinion, but you'll be able to hear all the different opinions with not, because we don't create the opinions. Right? We
Mhm.
are just an aggregator. So we bring your opinions in. Obviously, we check them because we don't want anything unsafe.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you look at our kids and what they have access to in the social world, in the platforms, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's not, I'm not going to judge anybody, but I'm just saying, I think that some of our kids are too young to understand some of the content that's in those social media platforms, or understand what's true and what's not true. And so for us, this is sports news. They lost 2-1. You can't get that wrong.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
truth platform,
That's the truth.
right?
Yeah.
And then you want to have a conversation about the 2-for-1, or you want to have a conversation how you feel. Well, that's your feelings and that's the score. So there's an opportunity. People will always say there's opportunities to make it negative. And sure, some people might get on there, and I mean, there's always individuals that can find a way to be negative, and that's just the way life is. And we'll do our best to get rid of those comments and won't let those happen. Like freedom of speech is one thing, but freedom of negativity is not something that is
Mhm.
okay. But you can always express yourself using the right language and using the right words that says how you feel, instead of being negative or being,
Mhm.
intrusive into other people's thoughts and feelings. And I think that's
Mhm.
that's what we're trying to do. And I just got to share this one story with you, because we're
Mhm.
talking about, self-confidence and the doing what people are expecting of you. I remember for the first time, kind of like I was like, okay, I kind of start to realize I'm no longer, a great athlete. I'm just an athlete now, and I'm okay to say that I was a great athlete. I think people should, a guy would say in a second that he was a phenomenal athlete. I think women need to say that more. Like, hey, yeah, we are great. That's good. Like, we were good at what we did. But I remember going out to play for this ball team. "Oh, this is going to be great. I'm going out. I'm going to play left field. I'm going to, have a drink in my hand. It's just recreational. And, I'm just going to have fun. This is going to be so unique for me because, it's like something different and no pressure." And I remember, kind of sauntering on to the team and, you know, and our team was up to bat first. Like the team was up, we had to bat first. And of course, I went up and I hit the ball and so I remember everybody went around. Then all of a sudden, I come in. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to left field. The guy says, "Oh no, you're playing first base." I said, "Why am I playing first base?" I said, "I want to play first base." I said, "That's like a pressure position right now." He goes, "We just saw your stance at bat and the way you hit. You obviously are an athlete." He says, "You can play, so you got to play first base." And I remember thinking, "Oh my God, like here I am, and now I'm under pressure again because now the perception is I'm going to be good." And I'm going, "You've never seen me catch a ball. Maybe I just hit lucky. Like you don't know what's going on, right?" But the pressure was right, massively around me as I was standing on first, going, I don't play first. I want to be out there where like, nobody's catching anything, right? And laughing. And it took me probably about 2 innings. And then finally I just kind of said, you know what? I said, like, I got to be honest with you here. I'm really here just for fun. And I get that, our concept is to win, even though we're supposed to be a rec tournament. But I really, really just want to go out to the field and I'm happy to catch the ball and run out there. Said, but I don't want the pressure of first base. And he kind of looked wise. It's like, I'm going, because I just want to have fun. And it's kind of unique in that way. And he kind of looked at me weird, but I mean, I went out to the field and it was like, I think what was nice when I went out in the field, it was like, I thought I can be just what I want to be. I didn't have to sit there and have all these massive stress through the whole 9 innings. It was like, no, I'm going out to where I'm going to have fun. But I had to stand up and say it instead of like, what we do is often is, okay,
Yeah.
I got to be good.
You wouldn't have enjoyed the rest of the game had you not.
So that's
Yeah.
why I say, like, listen to the inner voice, because mine was shouting at me, like, go out in the field, like, grab your drink and get out there. Like, everybody else is having fun. You're under pressure here. And the pressure was my own
Yeah.
because, the pressure was my own. It was like, oh my God, now they think I'm good. I have to be good.
And I have another story, and that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to share the story. When I first met you, you did this talk, and remember I emailed you and asked if I could share a bit of the talk in the book that I'm writing.
Yes.
And the piece about it is about pushing past threshold, about really persevering, and you being an advocate for I think it was women from Hong Kong, and you got them. Again, I might be messing up the details, but you really pushed through and advocated for these people from another country to come here and play hockey. So speak to a little bit of that because it really was inspirational when us as humans, sometimes we get sucked into our negativity or negativity around us, and then we'll kind of either blow things off or not push far enough. So I love the whole push past threshold. So tell people about that. It's such an inspirational story.
Well, at the time, China was holding the Olympics and they wanted to make sure that their team was competitive. And a friend of mine, Scotty McPherson, and another coach, I just lost her name, isn't that horrible? From the United States, who has the coach that's won the most games over in the United States. They reached out to me and said, we would like to play in your league, the Canadian Women's National Hockey League. And I said, ooh, how is that going to work? But at the same time, I thought, what a great opportunity to bring a team in from China and for us to take our players back to China to play in China and be recognized and take players from our league and put them on their team and help them grow. And I think it was it took a while to get it all together, but I mean, it wasn't my idea. It was their idea to come to us, and then it was kind of like, what I wanted to do is make sure that idea came to fruition by them joining our league. And it was stunning in the simple fact that, our players got to see a whole new side of I mean, China's their rinks and their team had massive compared to us, right?
Even
But
the
I think,
culture, like going
yeah,
there, visiting a
it's
different country that
right. And so
probably wouldn't have had an
they got to
opportunity.
see Hong Kong. They got to see the Great Wall. They got to see so many different things culturally and play hockey there and educate and teach.
Mhm.
And then China is Kunlun came back here to play in our league. And again, they were exposed to the Canadian side of hockey and the culture and United States because we had a team in Boston too. So it was really unique to watch the kind of the hockey grow and the atmosphere around it as the Olympics was coming, and we were training and educating, and it was just a really good eye opener for I think all of us to understand that there is ways to kind of bring countries together through sport, and you can certainly see that. I mean, the NFL just went to, I think it was Brazil, right, that they just played in or something.
Mm.
And the WNBA goes to China, goes in different places, again, bringing their sport to new fans and trying to get young people to join the sports because, I mean, sports is the largest GDP in the world, right?
Yes.
So I think it's always an opportunity for us to say not how can it not work, but how can we make it work?
Mm. Yeah, and what I'll add to that too, the great thing about sports is that there's always another hit. There's always another like kick of the ball or a slap shot or a shot at the net or and it's a continuum. So you keep on going. Where I think it's such a great metaphor for every human being that in life things happen. It's impossible for us to get every shot into the net. Impossible. That would just be weird. And so it really teaches people to move through emotions faster. So that's another thing when it comes to being like a CEO or learning skills and transferable skills from sports to just the general work population. That's another really great one of being more stable when it comes to emotional state and not having like the lower dips and the highs like or getting sucked into to the lower ones. So last question, because I know I've taken up so much of your time and thank you so much for being here, but what advice would you give somebody if, say, they're wanting to start a sport later on in their age, like say in their 30s, and like where would one start? And I think people they'll get to a certain age, they've always wanted to do it, but then they're like, "Oh, I'm too old." Right? Where I call bullcrap on that, and I know you do too. So, like what would you say to somebody that say they're in their 30s or even 40s that want to start a sport?
I'd say do it. I'd say do
Mhm.
it and then do it and then do it again. Because one of the things that we also have to understand that for females of that age, especially if we're specifically talking about that age,
Mhm.
um, in our society, men have always played hockey, football, soccer, lacrosse, curling, every single sport. And what it does give them is relief of some type of stress, of exercise away from the home and the work. And so for females, it's so essential for us also to separate, we are the mom, doesn't matter what anybody says, we're still the caretaker, we're still the giver. And so for us to carve out a piece of time once a week or twice a week, for us to go and be social, to be interactive, to exercise, to go out after for a drink and talk and share. It's a very important part of our social life, our emotional life,
Mhm.
our well-being. And so it's not just about the sport. There's so many other things tied to it. And I know people, I've played hockey with people, like I still play hockey actually. And I play hockey with people that, can hardly skate. And then after a couple of years they can skate. And then
Mhm.
because we're not out there to score goals or we're out there to have fun ourselves. And so I know a ton of people that have learned to skate 30, 40, 45 years of age in their life or pick up a sport, pickleball, right? You pick up the
Yeah.
sport pickleball. There's always something out there for you. But I just think it's such a socially engaging activity, sport, and it's the universal language. anywhere you go, you can talk sports.
Agreed.
This. Oh yeah. And often you're talking about something. So it's like I encourage people to join something. I don't care if it's a running class. I don't care if it's a walking class. It's a sport,
Yep.
and it's an activity that is socially engaging. And in today's world, is I think, Tree, when you started this conversation out, as you said, in our world today, we tend to have gone back inside our offices. We work from home.
Mm-hmm.
We deal everything online, and our social interaction is limited. And so then our social skills become limited. And I think for us to be active in some type of activity, a sports world, really provides an outlet for us to do many different things. And a lot of my best friends are friends from sport because you have them forever. These are the friends forever. And partners that have gotten together and married through sport, and then the kids grow up in sports, and it's like it's a very small world, but yet large at the same time.
Well, and I think the part of the bond, the deeper bond through sports is that when you're playing a game, there's always ups and downs. So the whole team is going through different emotions together, which creates a deeper bond that like with anything, right? And with sports, it gives that. And so thank you so much for all of your insight. This is so amazing. And we're going to have all of your links. And I encourage people, if you're listening to this and you want to donate to this app, that reach out. We'll have all the information for Brenda so that we can do that because it's going to be definitely something for the future that'll benefit every woman, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks for listening to another great episode of the Root of It All podcast with Tree. So if you want to check us out on Instagram or Facebook, you can go to Business Growth Results on either of those platforms, or you can even go to businessgrowthresults.com if you have a suggested topic or theme, or you want to get a free hypnosis download. So we'll talk to you soon. Till next time, see you later.